Alright, last time we did my favorite 25 beats of all time, and that was a lot of fun. That was a blast to make. And somebody in the comments said that I should do my favorite 25 verses of all time. So that's what we're doing in this video. These are my favorite 25 verses of all time, point blank, period. When I was looking at what made a good verse and what were my favorite verses, I looked at three main things. I looked at the content of the verse, I looked at the flow, and I looked at the rhymes. Just one quick note before we start the list. It is going to be the same rules as the beats list. I'm only limiting it to one verse per artist. So yeah, let's just get straight into the top 25.
Piece of hut, niggas at your front door, tweaking don't lack. We legally tuck pieces in Atlanta.
Alright, starting it off with one of my favorite artists that's doing it right now. He was my most listened to artist last year. He's my most listened to artist this year. Kenny Mason's first verse of Givenchy. And man, this one's just a fun verse. His rhyme scheme is really nice. It's a great start to the song. It's got high energy. His flows, his cadences are really clean. Geeking up, crashing, scamming, piecing up fragments. Pizza Hut at your front door, tweaking don't lack. The piecing up and a Pizza Hut, that shit is really nice. Sounds really good. Got everything there that you really need. And what makes a good verse?
I got a couple girls I'm talking to. I'm trying to narrow down.
The first verse of Ocean Sounds is literally just the most nonchalant, the most casual flex of all time. His voice is so smooth, it's so soothing. It's as if he does this shit all the time. This is normal for him. Him whipping out the Porsches, him just snagging a smoothie, just a normal day, hitting it from the back, hearing Ocean Sounds. I'm instantly teleported to the bay, to San Fran. I wish I were you, Larry.
Yeah, nigga, mash out, D-R-E, backtrack, think back, E-V-E.
The third verse of Let Me Blow Your Mind by Eve. This one's great. I mean, this whole song is just a flex of her abilities as a rapper. There's no story here. That doesn't matter. I don't give a shit that there's no story here. This is the ultimate, I am better than you, and I'm going to show you that I am better than you. Rhyme scheme is tight. Her flows are steady. That's all you need. Bad bitch energy. There's no bullshit. There's really no bullshit. Her confidence, everything that she's saying, it just bleeds through the song in her vocal tone. She knows she's the GOAT, and there's no debate about that.
Got behind us, but they should have flicked the car behind us. If they knew what was in that Honda, probably served life.
Goldie James is one of those guys that is leading the current coke rap scene, or the drug dealing, the gangster rap scene. And the second verse of Speed Trap shows exactly that. That intro to this verse, those first 4 bars are so crazy. That story, and it puts you into his life and what he deals with on a daily. He's running with his entourage, and he gets pulled over by the police, but they pull over the wrong car. Because if they pulled over the other car, it's got kilos of coke. You would probably serve life if they saw what was in that car. Bars that I really highlighted out of this: Peace and Kane could have cast a John Deere tractor. 10 Kiss of Kane had to factor in the fear factor. Bars.
I watched my mama lose her mama, go through drama and trauma, but had to keep her head high so we don't fucking know.
Next up is Cody Blue 31 by JID. Now, I would say most people consider this a singing, one of JID's singing songs. Oh my god, when you look at this verse, it is fantastic. You can really hear the emotion coming through his verse when he's rapping. Swear you bitches don't know shit about our stress and about our woes. And he says stress kind of like stress. And then it goes on, my obsession and success by definition of my own. This has one of the hardest hitting bars that I've heard in a very long time. I watched my mama lose her mama, go through drama and trauma, but I had to keep her head high so we don't fucking know. Yeah, this whole verse is just a fantastic verse that's filled with really tight rhymes, great flows, great switches. And most importantly, it's about the family and about sticking together as a family And that's great. I love that. Next up is the flow god himself, or one of the flow gods. Smino's first verse of Ol' Ass Kendrick. Smino is I say this every single time I listen to a Smino song. He's one of the hardest people to rap along to because of his flows. His flows are so unconventional. The rhyming in here is so insane. He pronounces medicine to rhyme with dizzy. It's like medicine. I don't even know. Let's see it.
Okay, cool, without the good medicines.
What? Like, what? He's got some of the funniest bars in here as well. The Smino puns are on point. In this verse, you've got Smino da Vinci, Smilon Musk, Smion Sanders. This guy says, I Ubered a coochie to Jupiter. Brother, what? But he's like the only guy that can get away with this type of stuff. It's so goofy. It's so fun. I don't need drugs to get high. All I need to do is listen to this verse. That's it. That's all I need to do.
If you ain't got more than 5 top 10s, then I don't want to hear no chat about charting.
Stormzy's third verse on Wiley Flow. I mean, Wiley Flow as a whole is just a total flex. Like, this guy is absolutely setting the bar for British rap. He really sounds pissed that people think he's not the GOAT, or people are putting other rappers on the same level that he's on. Like, he's genuinely pissed, and you could hear that in his voice. One of the best bars to start the verse of all time. If you ain't got 5 top 10s, then I don't want to hear no chat about charting. Don't even talk to me. We're not on the same level. We do not compare. He's straight flaunting his lyrical ability, his money. He's not only is he a better rapper than you, he gets more bitches, and he's got more money than you. Alright? You're nothing compared to this man. It's a fucking wild verse. Go listen to it right now.
Royalty, can't buy you loyalty. Tell me if I lose everything, would you be over me?
Young Prodigy has one of the greatest opening bars of all time in my opinion. Royalty, can't buy you loyalty. Tell me if I lose everything, would you be over me? For some reason, when Kodak says it, it hits really hard. You're like, damn, you are right. Royalty ain't gonna buy you loyalty. Kings get fucking backstabbed all the time. This kind of like leans into this whole verse, staying true to where he's from and the people that started with him. I ain't finna go switch overseas, ain't no money controlling me. I think Kodak is one of the most underrated lyricists of all time. He gets lumped into the SoundCloud and like trap genre, which is true. He is in that genre, but he's way more than that as an artist. And I think he's a really, really great and creative lyricist. He keeps a cohesive theme throughout his verse while keeping rhyme schemes and flows that are just on point. And goddamn, that last bar is absolutely hilarious. All these stripper hoes on me, I ain't even gotta throw money. That's how nice he is, bro. He don't even gotta throw money to get these strippers on him.
Punchlines, right hooks, now that's the trifecta. No more free elections, I'm texting these niggas extra.
I think a lot of people would say that Joey's verse on Infinity 888 probably isn't his best verse of all time, but it's my introduction to his genius and his writing ability. I was really into Question Mark back when it released, and I wasn't a huge Joey Badass fan. I was obviously aware of who he was, but I hadn't listened to a lot of his solo work. I mean, this shit put me on instantly. He's just flexing his ability to rap in this. It holds a special place in my heart for introducing me to Joey Badass and his solo work. So that's one of the main reasons that this verse is on here. The flow switches are just buttery smooth, and the wordplay is really good. We've got the whole punchlines, right hooks. Now that's a trifecta bar, which also I've just recently found out that he's made a shit ton of money ghostwriting. So again, he's punching lines and he's writing hooks for other people. Then you've also got the full boxing reference there. New York rapper referencing a New York rap group. He's just shouting out where he's from. Having a razor blade tucked under your tongue is hard as fuck both physically and metaphorically. No matter which way you twist it, that bar goes hard. That shit is insane. That's one of the nastiest bars I've heard in a while.
Anybody move, toe tagging. My 327s was blessings, leather Vuitton vests.
Westside Gunn's verse on 327 is like what Joey does, what Boldy did, what Larry did. He just just gift wraps it and just ships it out. Just sends it to the people. He's like actually floating over this instrumental. These subtle flexes. He's name dropping these designer brands that fucking I've never heard of. What I love about this verse as well is the juxtaposition between what seems like his two lives. On one hand, you've got the rich and the famous and the almost like high fashion Westside Gunn. Then you've also got the coke dealer Westside Gunn going to these fashion shows, and he's flaunting his money. He still keeps up his like hard persona. This whole verse kind of feels like he's saying, I'll kill you and I'll look fly as fuck doing it.
No barking from the dog, no small. And mama cooked the breakfast with no hog.
It Was a Good Day by Ice Cube. Now this song got potentially snubbed for my favorite beats of all time. It most definitely deserves to be on this list. This is one of the greatest world-building songs. It's one of the greatest world-building verses ever released. I could have realistically put any verse of this song on here. I just think that the first verse sets the stage and creates the world really beautifully. And I think that's what sets up the rest of the song and the rest of the verses to be so great. This is what happens during the entire verse. He wakes up, eats breakfast, sets up a date, then he drives to the park, and he plays basketball. That's all that happens in this verse. Most people would consider that a pretty normal day. Sure, that's a good day, kind of, but it's a pretty normal day. It's not like nothing out of the ordinary, nothing extra good to make this one noticeable. Like, why are we rapping about this day and specifically Ice Cube? And that would be the case for anybody that doesn't live in a place like Compton. But in Compton, especially through Ice Cube's perspective, if no one dies, or if you're not pressed by the police, or nothing crazy happens, it was a good day. A normal day in Compton is a good day. That's truly the genius of this verse.
Feet in the cheese, she said the taste of dollars was shitty, so I bet a 50.
The Evil's second verse is some wizardry from Jay-Z, talking about how he had a falling out with his friend. He's essentially bribing the ex-friend's girlfriend, to tell him where he is so that Jay-Z can kill him. The wordplay is really great in this verse. Namely, you've got the feet in her 50s till her shit starts to make sense, trying to rock his bitch to sleep, either, lulling her into a false sense of security, or sleep literally meaning the eternal sleep. He's trying to kill her, or he's going to kill her. This really is a brilliant example of intertwining a story with entendres and wordplay to build a really, really memorable verse.
I remember to remember, life is a bitch, so no, I can never kiss a tail.
Ski's verse on Make 'Em Run. Now, this is another personal pick for me. Objectively speaking, it may not be as good as some of the other verses on this list. This verse is one of those where I have very, very fond memories attached to it. It is my favorite verse from Ski Mask, probably by far. Okay, his flows are so good on this verse. The way he jumps from that slow cadence to the fast cadence in the first 4 bars are just so much fun. This one is a great one to rap. It's got some classic Ski bars, like an owl. Who? The only enemy here is you. Like, come on, that shit's so good. And then the other one, the final 2 bars are so good as well. Only want the neck like a noose on goose, and I'm only wilding out when I'm loose off goose. That shit is, I don't know how he came up with it. That shit's funny as hell. It's also a great bar. Wordplay is fun. Flow is fun. His personality really bleeds through on this verse, and that's what really makes it so great.
The more I swung, the more blood flew. Then he disappeared, and my boys disappeared too.
He turned from a very fun verse from Ski Mask the Slump Gods, Make 'Em Run, to really a disturbing and dark and pretty intense verse with the fourth verse off of Mine Is Playing Tricks on Me. One of the things that is really distinct from this verse compared to the other three on this song is that it's set up differently to where you really think that the scene that is going on in the verse is happening. Verse centers around a character created by Scarface, but then rapped about by Bushwick Bill. Follows a character, and it's a Halloween night, and he's with his friends, and they're just basically just, you know, causing ruckus, causing some trouble or whatever, scaring kids and stealing their candy and stuff like that, until somebody starts following them. And this is like a really creepy figure, so they decide to jump him. The whole time they're just beating his ass, but this guy won't go down. And all of a sudden it flashes to reality, and none of his friends are there. The guy that they're attacking isn't there, and he's been punching the concrete this whole time. His knuckles are just absolutely bloody from punching so hard, and it's just crazy. It's one of the greatest twists in a verse that I've heard ever. Fantastic job of depicting what an overly paranoid person could be feeling. What's really interesting is that the man that they see in this verse is most likely the nightmarish person that Scarface was talking about seeing in his dreams in the first verse, which is a really cool callback to the start of the song, which I think really tight, like, you know, it kind of ties the whole song together and brings it full circle.
Your life if you squares try to mess with my O's, whoa.
And now we are right back to fun. Tyler, the Creator, on Potato Salad. Just having a good time, really. The wordplay is great. Get press and X out, triangle your nose, pause your life if you squares trying to mess with my O's. Those are all buttons on a PlayStation controller. Like, come on. The whipped cream bars. Heavy whipping cream. My neck heavy like whipped cream. Whipping around a white car by whipped cream. And then getting cash. We whip up cream. Cash. Tyler, the Creator, absolutely killed it on this one.
You ain't nothing but a broke boy.
Alright, nah, I'm just playing.
This is family business, and this is for the family that can't be with us.
Family Business is one of Kanye's most personal tracks, and man, he needs to go back to this. He needs to go back to this style. I mean, obviously, evolve with the times or whatever, but Kanye's songwriting has taken such a massive hit in recent years. It's just so sad to see, because you have verses like Family Business, basically like a letter to one of his family members that's in prison. The pain that both him and his family have experienced without him being present for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. The whole say grace so I can save face. This is really Kanye at his best in terms of his writing.
Devil on my shoulder, marijuana from Boulder.
Amine's verse on Roots. This is another one of those OGs, probably most definitely biased picks. I don't give a shit. I do not give a shit. First of all, shout out to the 503. Shout out to Portland. That's where Amine's from. Also, shout out to Boulder. Devil on my shoulder, marijuana from Boulder. Hell yeah, you know we got the best weed out here in the 303, baby. I don't know why, but we're going to be talking a lot about area codes in this fucking verse. I just understood this bar, like, when I was doing research for this video. My cell keep ticking like I'm 617. Celtics, Boston Celtics. The 617 is the area code for Boston. That's so good. And yeah, I mean, it's a great verse. It's a verse that's talking about where he's from. You know, he references Africa. And he references Boston, which I don't know if he's got roots in Boston. But, you know, definitely there's some Pacific Northwest references in there. Talks about where he's come from. And, you know, at the end of the verse, beautifully wraps it all up, saying these roots raised me. I bring my flowers to the world. This is where I came from. This is who I am. And now I'm sharing it with you.
Well, it's the M.I. cricket letter. Ain't no one better. And when I'm on the microphone, you better
best to wear your sweater.
Number 8, we've got Big Boy in his first verse on ATLians, Atlians, whatever you want to fucking call it. This shit hits. He is one of the flow and rhyme gods. I can't comprehend the shit that he says sometimes. Brother goes, all right, so, oh hell, there he go again, talking that shit. Bend. Corners like I struck a nerve. Bend, it doesn't even make sense with the previous bar. He just fucking lumps it in at the end of it. And then, huge pause. Corners like I struck a nerve. Like, bend is the start of that bar. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense, but it sounds so good. This verse is all about him flexing his rapping abilities. Nobody, except for maybe Andre, can compete with his flows, with his rhymes at all. There's no chance. That's why they need to go get their fucking shine box and their sack of nickels and go fucking work somewhere else. Do something else, all right? We cannot talk about this verse without mentioning the fucking bar. The greatest, one of the greatest bars of all time. I know you know what I'm talking about. Because I'm cooler than a polar bear's toenails. Obviously, a polar bear's toenails are going to be cooler because he's been walking in snow. It's one of those shits that, like, makes so much sense, but I would never think of it. I wouldn't. And I'm cool. Yeah, Big Boy is cooler than that.
Walked up, pushed him and said, what's good? Looked at me confused and he said nothing. She was like, babes, wait, stop it.
Home by Nux is a fantastic storytelling song, just as a whole. The story reaches its climax with the third verse, which is the verse that I'm here to talk about. Nux arrives at a party that a girl that he likes is at, and he sees the girl talking to another guy, and the guy is clearly hitting on her. So he goes up to press the guy and kind of like, talk shit, act hard in front of this girl that he likes. And then his friend comes up and stabs the guy in the chest, which forces them to not only run from the party, but they also have to run from the police. When I was just at a house party, just in general, I could have seen that type of shit happening. It really, really beautifully ends the story with the bar, I should have went home. And his mom has been telling him to stay home throughout the entire song. The fact that he's able to tell such a fantastic story like this while also keeping solid rhyme scheme and keeping a really, really nice flow and good flow switches. It is a true testament to his ability. I think this is one of the greatest British rap verses. I think this is one of the greatest storytelling verses. It's got it all.
My mind warps and bends, floats the wind, count to 10, beat the twin, Andre Ben, welcome to the Lion's Den.
You thought because I put a Big Boy in here, I wasn't gonna put Andre? You thought? Brother, of course Andre 3000 has to be on here. Fourth verse, his second verse on Aquemini, is an absolute masterclass in rhyme schemes. This is one rhyme scheme throughout the entire verse. Actually insane, the writing ability that Andre 3000 has. It is a short verse. That is my only complaint. If this were a longer verse, if this were 8 bars longer or something like that, it could have easily been number one. I just want more. Really easily could have picked his other verse in this song. I think it really just comes down to personal taste. One of the notable bars that really stuck out to me was the sin all depends on what you're believing in. Faith is what you make it. That's the hardest shit since MC Ren. It's just a masterpiece.
I grew up on the crime side, the New York Times side. Staying alive was no job.
Raekwon's verse on Cream is one of the greatest verses about the struggle of growing up impoverished that has ever been released. It really goes into his own struggles with growing up in Park Hill and growing up in a gang and crime-ridden neighborhood, and also his own struggles with addiction. He started smoking woolies at 16 and running up in gates doing hits for high stakes, making my way on fire escapes. No question, I would speed for cracks and weed. Where else do you turn if not selling or doing drugs? And in Raekwon's instance, doing both. Another thing that is really, really fantastic about this verse is the end goal, whether it's rapping or dealing drugs, is to make money. Ties into the chorus that cash rules everything around me, to make money and do it by any means necessary.
We made a right, they made a left, they made a right. just circling life.
The Art of Peer Pressure is another one of these storytelling songs that is really, really crazy and really throws you straight into the story. I get engrossed in this song every single time I listen to it. It is one of the rare times where I become completely immersed in a song, and it really makes me feel like I am there with Kendrick. The final verse on The Art of Peer Pressure is crazy. It is so intense. And the fact that Kendrick is using such a monotonous voice to describe the scenario that he is in, totally off-putting. Scouting out this house for 2 months, breaks into it with his friends just to realize that somebody is still in the house, and they have to run, and they end up having to run from the police. What? Like, you have no idea what's gonna happen.
When I die, fuck it, I wanna go to hell. Cause I'm a piece of shit, it ain't hard to fucking tell.
Just before I get into talking about the actual verse, I just want to give a quick trigger warning because we are going to be talking about suicide and all the things around it. So if that does bother you in any way, shape, or form, go ahead, feel free, just skip past this section. Suicidal Thoughts by Biggie. This is the most intense and depressing verse on the list by far. It is so crazy. I got shivers when I first listened to it. It follows Biggie, who's on the phone with a friend talking about how he's going to kill himself. And he basically lays out all of the things that he's done and the reason he's a bad person, or the reason that he thinks he deserves to die. Stealing from his mom, selling and doing drugs, cheating on his girlfriend, all of these things, plus a culmination of more. The way that he's rapping, it's so calm, as if he's already come to terms with it. He's already made his decision. He's not calling this person to like as a form of help. He's calling them just as a way to say goodbye, almost. And he's already decided that he's going to do it. And there's nothing that the person will say on the other side of the phone will change his mind. It's a tough listen. Keep in mind, this is on the same album as Juicy and Big Papa. Like, this is seems so out of the ordinary for Biggie to talk about these types of things in this manner. You know, normally he's flaunting his money or the fact that he can be with so many women, and I mean, it is a masterpiece of a verse. No one can deny that. It's just a really, really crazy one. Hey, Shook Ones Part 2. I think this is the only song that made both the beats and the verses list, and for good reason. It is the ultimate verse of grit and grime and the ultimate gangster rap New York verse. Perfectly encapsulates what it was like to live in Queens during the time. The people that want to profile and pose, they can't and they won't survive where he's from. Prodigy and Havoc are the best, the hardest ones out there. No one compare. We're also the best rappers. Hardest bars, stab your brain with your nose bone. It's just that the image that comes up when he says that bar is just, ugh, that is gnarly. Living in this area, you're always reminded that death is always around the corner. Another deceased, another story gets told. It ain't nothing really. Ayo done sparked the Philly. Like, another dead body it's just another thing. It's just another day. Like, that shit happens all the time. So you become so desensitized to it, and that's just something that happens in Queens. Also, always in the cards for Prodigy and Havoc. The combination of the beat and the verse really turned this song into a masterpiece. It might be one of my favorite songs of all time.
Everything that glitter ain't fish scale. Let me think. Don't let a faint kid Ishmael.
Who else could it have been than MF Doom? Who else? Nobody does it like him. Actually, there's nobody on the same level as him. You've got the big dogs. You've got Nas. You've got Jay-Z. You've got Andre 3000, Big Boy. You got these guys. I don't think that they are anywhere near MF Doom's rapping ability. It is absolutely nuts. These are the greatest flows and rhymes of all time, and it might not even be close. This song is absolutely insane. Internal rhymes and the rhyme schemes, it is just packed. Nearly every word in this song is a part of a rhyme scheme. And this is another one where it's just one long verse. There's no hook at all. It's just straight flex. He doesn't give a shit about no hooks. He's like, I'm just going to do one long ass verse and it's going to be insane. I could make a 20-minute video just analyzing this song on its own. I wish I had time to do that. But in this video, I just don't have time to tell you about all the things that are going on in this verse. Go watch this video called Figaro Rhymes Highlighted. It shows you how mind-blowing this type of stuff is. It is a total lyrical flex. He's not rhyming for the sake of rhyming. He's implementing a myriad of literary devices, including onomatopoeias. Alliteration is especially apparent in this one, and using metaphors and similes and references to pop culture. It's all in here. It all culminates into this one song. It is so genius, so rich with things to dissect, and it is impossible to do it in this video, but it is by far my favorite verse. It is, in my opinion, the greatest verse of all time. R.I.P. MF Doom. Those were my 25 favorite beats of all time. Please let me know down in the comments, either your list or if there were any snubs. What were my bad takes? What were my good takes? Let it all out. Let me know. I love to see what your guys' thoughts are. If you really do like this content, I'm going to have more videos like this coming out soon. So please, please, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later. Peace.